Okay,
9:06.
what time is it?
9:06.
9:06, Thursday, January 18th. Call a meeting in order for the Manistee City Housing Commission.
All right, I'll call the roll. Commissioner Goodman,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith, Commissioner Pelton,
Here.
Commissioner Taylor,
Here.
President Fosdick.
Are there any amendments to the agenda items? None there, we'll go into public comment of agenda related items. Public comments, so the consent agenda. Approval of minutes, regular meeting minutes, December 27th, and bills disbursement for December 2023. Have a motion to. Consent on.
The minutes, second motion and the bill.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Old business. No removal.
So that I have received, one comment on the snow removal policy. Do I include it with it or not? So, I heard it's supposed to be 40 degrees next week, so that'll be good, and hopefully all the snow will melt. But people did a pretty good job moving. The maintenance guys did a great job plowing. So the one comment that I did receive through email was that, the resident, it was from, Jim Bond. And he said that he thought we shouldn't tow after 12 hours, that we should give the residents opportunity to move, which we did talk about that the last meeting, that we would call, knock on doors, ask around, and towing would just be as a last option if people are not moving. So we did not even have to resort to that at all this snowfall. So that's good. And hopefully we won't. That would be more like if the car's broken down, the person's, not responding to any of our requests to move. But that was, so far, that's the only comment I received on the policy. We did talk about it at the resident council meeting yesterday. So I did ask residents to put any comments they have in writing and turn it into the.
I can't see you. Connie and I were talking that, her and I, if you let us know, her and I could, we know basically everyone cards. We do a phone tree, go around knock on the people's doors, you and I would,
Okay, yeah, you got it. That would be very helpful.
like. Or Kevin let us know when they're gonna plow and we'll go around.
Well, we did talk, one thing we talked about the resident council, which I thought was a good suggestion. I think Carla may have made it. To set a time. So I was gonna check with Kevin and let's say 10 o'clock. When we have a heavy snow, to plan on having your vehicle removed by 10. He'll have areas cleared where you can park at and, set a time. I don't want to make it too early either, but I thought 10 was reasonable.
10 works well.
And that's when we would start, like 9:30, we would start calling people and just say, hey, can we get you to run out and move your car? We're getting ready to plow the lot.
Now, this doesn't have anything to do with this policy, but it does and it doesn't. The scattered sites. We provide snow plowing for everyone here in the towers, but we don't do any snow plowing at scattered sites.
Correct. Unless they have a reasonable accommodation, unless they actually have a doctor's statement stating that they're unable to do their own driveway.
Now we are, this next year, going to start doing all the lawn mowing, right?
Yes, I believe so. The direction.
We did last.
Last year we did everything up by Reese Park.
Yeah.
We did all the units up there, but we did not do the scattered.
I thought we did a little plowing over there, the main parking
We
lot,
do.
do we? Yeah.
Yes, we do plow, anything that the city doesn't plow.
Yeah, we just don't do the driveways, right? I think that's the clarification.
But I'm thinking that, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. unless it's gonna be exorbitantly expensive, we should plow those scattered sites.
All their driveways.
Yes.
If you can find somebody.
As far as the cars here, just back to this 1 minute, are they all registered so you know whose vehicles they are?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, so you know, you have a list of.
They have stickers or anything that they could put on their
Yes,
vehicle?
they do.
But when I went by the parking lots here, it looks like they've at least had one good turn. Cause I didn't see any mounds of snow stuck anywhere.
Yeah, they did a good job.
Yeah, I know that one for a fact. I've paid park lot and they've been doing a good job.
I don't know, I think that's a lot of money.
Well, there's a couple questions. One for the place up by Reed's Park, that kind of turnaround. I don't know if they the road is, but we were gonna ask
Valley
if that
Court.
was our, yeah, is that our property or is that a city road?
Yeah, we did not.
Yeah,
We talked about it at the last, when we
Yeah.
talked about this policy, yeah.
so
Is the city blowing it
don't,
or are we?
You can find out if it's a private road or not. It's easy to find
I
out.
believe the area you guys are referring to, Kevin's plowing.
Yeah, but I think the city goes down and turns around and comes back through. And then we had that talk with Kevin, right? Well, let us confirm
Okay.
that.
because of course, we definitely have to do that, but our responsibility if it's not a city road. And then the other sites, driveways aren't really that long. It swipes through. But.
I don't know how practical it would be to try and coordinate moving cars to plow those driveways. You know,
We
there's,
talked about
Well, you know,
contracts.
that would be the tenant. If the tenant wants their whole driveway done, then they'll move the car.
right,
If they don't, we'll just come in, grab it, and pull it out in the street and be done.
Well, but also too, hey, city's been really, great about plowing and everything, getting everything cleaned up, but what about those times when they just can't, where can the person put their car? If they're not there when we come through.
Yeah.
That's one thing, or if our car's gone, but if they have two vehicles or something.
Well, they might miss it a couple times
Yeah.
a year. But it might be too cost.
yeah. If we contracted it out, we would have to contract for the entire site and they're gonna charge us if they go over there and can't plow anyway, so.
I did not receive a lot of phone calls, anyone complaining. We did receive a lot of snow.
I think you put it out that if you have some medical issues
Yeah.
or other issues, we would take care of it for you.
Yep.
And if people didn't call in, then
Yep, so we have 4 people that are on that list.
Okay, well then let's leave it alone.
We're gonna have a
We can
staff
bring it
meeting
back
too,
Too, if,
Steve, so let us sit down with the maintenance staff too
Mhm.
and have that discussion.
so I don't know if you want to table the policy again.
I think the policy is fine.
Yeah.
Okay, so it does still have 2023-20, so it wouldn't be the last resolution from last year.
Here's the first of this year.
Well, I already
We
had the
started
one
it.
for the first of this year, because we tabled it, so actually I left the same resolution.
I think that's
on
okay
there.
though.
Yep.
So, okay, and we can still, after I receive comments, I can bring it back and we can amend the policy.
you make the motion that we accept resolution 2023-20 of snow removal policy.
I second it.
Roll call.
Commissioner Smith.
Yes.
Commissioner Pelton. Commissioner Taylor.
Yes.
Commissioner Goodman.
Yes.
President Fosdick.
Yes. Okay, new business. The RFP for the audit proposals. One.
There's one. And that's disappointing because you saw the list that we sent out. I thought Anderson Tackman would submit. They do a lot of housing commissions, but I know that they did the city's audit last year. So my sense is they're probably under contract again with the city. I didn't ask that question. I think that would be a conflict for them to do our audit and the city's audit, probably in their eyes. And we did get a couple responses saying we're not interested. The guys in Saginaw just are booked. They can't do it. I was hoping to recommend them. Mr. Zink has done our audit the last couple of years. I think he did a fine job. No, And so I think,
His prices come more in line.
well, and I think these prices are double and triple what we saw 5 years ago, but that's the world that we live in today. So we're paying that much for all the audits.
My only question is, why do we have to wait till the 1st of May for him to start the audit?
So he has to have it completed, or he has to have it completed
Yeah.
by, what does it state in there?
Well, he's not gonna complete it till the 28th of May.
It
He
doesn't
can
say you
start-
can't start it.
He can start sooner, Steve. That's their scheduling. Our point is it's got to be done by June 30th because that's our submission date to the state. Now HUD gives us 9 months to submit, but we've been late many years in a row to the state, and then they will say that you jeopardize the city's, some of the city's revenue. So that's how they penalize. Nobody's ever done that to my knowledge, but
I'm just curious why he can't start March or April and be done at the end of March or April.
well,
But if May,
Tax season, maybe.
yeah, I mean, as long as he meets our deadlines to complete it, Steve, I think we're happy.
okay,
So,
Yeah, and yeah, it has to be done. The city has been beyond patient with this.
Yeah.
Because we have missed the lines.
yeah, you can go into the state, to the website and see when it was reported, and it's been late for many, and the city wants to include our data in their audit too, so it's imperative that we get it done timely. So, and, he brought, and I'll give Mr. Zink credit, he brought to our light some of the expenses that were questioned last year.
we need a motion.
I think we do.
I would move to approve the audit proposal from Zink and Associates PC for the year.
Second that.
All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried.
Where do you want me to close these doors?
Nope.
We have to leave them open.
Yep.
Thank you, though.
No.
You're too late with that question. I beat you to it.
Okay.
Okay, next is the civil rights. Resolution 2024, #1, civil rights. Certification.
The document required by HUD that we submit annually.
I'll make the motion that we accept the Civil Rights Certification Annual Certification Board Resolution 2024, Jack 1.
Nope.
All in favor?
I
Opposed?
Steve, resolution,
Oh,
we need to do a
oh,
roll
it's
call.
resolution.
Yep, sorry
Roll
about
call.
that. Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Commissioner Pelton,
Yes.
Commissioner Goodman,
Yeah.
Commissioner Taylor,
Yes.
President Fostick.
Yes. Okay, the red consultant proposals. We have 4 of them. I've looked through them. Not read every word, but it's amazing that we had 4 that work. And there's such a diverse group of people.
I thought they were all good. So,
Now, you're working with Baker
Baker
Tilly
Tilly and Everett.
and Everett.
So here's a thought for you to consider. Appointing the bylaws give you the ability to appoint committees. Not standing committees, but committees to conduct other business. My thought was appoint a committee. I don't think we make a decision today. Let's evaluate these proposals thoroughly through the committee process. We're not in a big hurry, just so you know. And then I think we could charge the committee with bringing back 1 or 2, or maybe all of them, and then we could interview them through a Zoom process or a public forum process at a commission. We might have to have a special commission meeting to do it. But I think you want to do a thorough analysis of the process. The
Yeah.
fees are all over the board, it's hard to judge fees. One's a developer consultant, so I think you're tied in with them if you choose them to be your developer. I'm not sure that's the road we want to go down.
Well, they did say in the proposal that we can stop it at any point
Yep.
of engagement.
So,
We've used that process for the downtown development. When we were doing the streetscape, it really worked well, having a small group go through it first. And then have, we did a public forum interviews, so that was kind of good.
Well, we are a small group to start with. There's only 5 of us,
I think it's important that we do this correctly.
but I think 2 commissioners and
As
2
opposed to,
staff.
Yeah.
Lori and Marty, 2 commissioners.
And I think we want to do a thorough evaluation. Now, I noticed, the last consultant did not submit an RFP this time. But everybody, almost everybody did that we invited, which, Yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
Shocking.
Yeah, I know that you were pretty happy with Baker Tilly and Everett, right?
yeah. Yeah, and I will say that we only got 2 responses there. To look for, so,
Really?
yeah, so
And
this is,
CSP group is a woman minority group, which was amazing.
Yeah.
And they have some big stats. I mean, they've done in New York 7,000 units and they claim that they've done 25% of all rag conversions in the United States. They were involved with, which kinda, I'm really impressed with them. But I'm thinking we might be too small for them.
I think that's part of this evaluation process, yeah. Yeah.
And, if they take us on, they probably won't give us as much attention as we think we need. So. And
I would be happy to be on that committee to review RFPs.
well, I don't. I'm the president, I don't know that I should be on a committee, but I'm really,
I think with your experience, I think that would be ideal with the consultants.
we can't have 3
No.
because we have a quorum.
Unless we want to do, that they'd have to be public meetings then. We could post and have public meetings to evaluate. That's up to you. I mean, we certainly could do that.
Yep.
And we could post. I mean, it's up to you guys how you want to handle it. Karen, does the county, they do their person or finance committee, like I know our county, they're always, it's the full board still, right?
No. We have
No,
a Ways and Means Committee for
is that
finance.
is there a majority there? Do you have to post?
We
no.
have 2 commissioners.
Okay,
Committees, I mean, they're all public.
Yeah.
You
They
know,
are.
but,
Okay.
We don't put, I think every board pretty much has just 2 commissioners. One of our work sessions, bring forward.
the other thought is we could do it during a work session too. So, I mean, there's a couple ways we could go, but I think a thorough vetting is,
So to start with, I got through 3.
Yeah.
So, and I got through 3 quickly.
Mhm.
Like I said, I have some connections to a couple of the states that some of these guys have worked in. So I put out some feelers, but, how about like we spend some time, everybody kind of read these and kind of really detail it. Get your questions together, and then the next work session, it's truly work session, not, starting with reading,
Yeah,
No Zoom at that work session, right?
no Zooms.
Yeah.
Well, I guess you could, if it's a, a work session. Well, there's still gonna be a public meeting.
yeah.
Well, you
Yeah.
maybe said you want to interview all 4 of them.
Well.
Well, we
that
don't
would
know
be-
that.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think
you have to be in person.
Yeah. it's like going through the hiring process, if you did it, you might rank your first 2 or 3 and then interview them and Although I don't like ranking because then you're almost committed to
Right.
going to number 2 or number 3 if number 1 isn't. So,
Well, we can each go through them,
Right.
rank them, develop our own questions for our work session,
Mhm.
which, you know, maybe we'll all be on the same page
Yeah.
after we review them. So let's do that. Let's have us all.
Go through them
And then
meet for a work session.
just have a separate work session,
just. for
we'll
that.
post it for a public meeting
Yeah.
and it'll just be a work session.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can we do it 2 weeks from today?
Can you read that fast?
I think so.
I've read them.
Yeah, if you want to set a time now, I think that's good too.
2 weeks.
So that,
What about 3 weeks? Let's 3 weeks.
so February 1st, no, that's 2 weeks. It's February 1st.
But-
Do 2 weeks?
February 1st is I mean, it's Groundhog Day, but that's okay.
No, that's
No,
second.
that's second.
That's
So we wouldn't get in trouble with
It's
that.
February first,
Is 2 weeks from today.
that's my birthday,
Oh,
I'm 19.
but you can bring refreshments in.
Do you want to do 9? Is 9, you want to do something different? You want to do a lunch? We can get
I
lunch.
have 11 o'clock is all. So I can do it and it won't be there that long. Noon would be
You
fine.
want to do noon? We'll have some lunch brought in and
Okay.
have a work
I just
session.
don't wanna let this thing start to drag on this.
No.
like-
No. Yeah.
Can we do it at
Golden
Harborview
State.
Community Room?
Yeah, we can do it at Harborview
Yeah, it's a
Community.
work session.
Yeah. We'll post, and let's plan on an hour. And if it goes beyond that, then, but we'll just post it for noon and at Harborview.
At noon on February 1st.
Sounds like a good plan. And I know some of the agencies too, so
Excellent
yeah, if you wanna,
experience working with this stuff is gonna.
I know Marquette was listed on one of them and we know Sharon up there.
Well, in fact, I had written that's the one that was well, most of these got quite a big involvement.
Yep.
Or minority owned and.
Yeah.
Which adds points to our, thing with HUD.
Yeah.
And,
So
but I
this
had
is,
written that they didn't have any Michigan work at all, but then they had one at Marquette.
Marquette, yeah. And I think going through this analysis, and we're going through the same process right now, this is pretty complicated because ours could mean demolition and rebuilding. So I mean, it could be a real interesting and good project. We just want to make sure we get the right.
Well, I'm hoping that we can get, the land bank involved.
So,
I've already started greasing those wheels.
yeah. Okay,
Okay, next on the list, proposal to renovate 302 and 302.5 Wall Street.
Does everyone have a copy of the proposals?
yeah.
Yeah,
Glad to see the big dumpster out there. 12th Street.
Yeah, that's actually not.
But
for
for that one?
property.
Yeah.
That's just us emptying out
No,
no?
that's resident.
Oh, wow.
I've been doing a lot of inspections, so people are.
now, when I read the RFP, it sounded like there was a bunch of interior doors and then it was basically painting.
Yeah, so livable. You guys said make it livable. So I did not quote to replace cabinets. Or like Kevin thought that they could clean up the tubs and the sinks and, so. Do you see the scope of work there, Steve?
I saw the RFP
Yeah,
and I'm thinking, what? That's not a lot. I don't know why are we subbing this out, our own maintenance people?
Well, can I answer that question, Steve? With
Yeah.
snow plowing and doing everything and getting there for an hour working and then moving and doing work orders. When we get a contractor, they come in and get it done. So I think that's the benefit of,
Or we got some temps to do it.
yeah.
When we did talk about that, we went that route with the 10th Street renovation.
Mhm.
But I still ended up having to sub it out because they just couldn't get to it. So we did attempt that with the last renovation, and actually the low bidder is the one that ended up doing the one that our maintenance staff had planned to do.
But
So
I'm,
we
I'm,
did
I'm
have
shocked
to
at
do
these
one.
numbers.
Like
I was too.
$22,000 a unit's not bad.
I think
And to get the-
they're good numbers.
Yeah.
They're not replacing a roof, they're not replacing the siding, they're not replacing any windows, they're not replacing any cabinets. Are they doing any,
It's like really bad.
are they doing any flooring?
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's floorings in.
Yeah.
Okay.
But they're
But-
not
They're
doing,
not, they're not bad numbers.
not doing any heating or hot water.
They're having to do skimming over the drywall, you know, painting.
Well, they're taking off the drywall, installing drywall, you know,
And the one that just recently became vacant, that one we actually are removing all the drywall except on the ceiling. So
Why?
that all the drywall because of the condition.
That was what they were skimming.
The second
I
one, yeah,
saw
so
one.
Yeah.
the second side of the duplex, they will be skimming it, but the one we just received back, that one actually needs more work.
I mean, this is new doors and light fixtures and
Cabinet.
Well,
had to
and
be
I
cleaned.
didn't understand that light fixtures.
Fixed.
If you want LED lighting, you just put an LED light in it, don't change the fixture.
So sometimes, like in my own house, the fixture, the thing had to be replaced in order to support the LED light.
I understand,
So we'll be on brand new lighting.
but my question is, I don't know that I wanna spend $25,000 per unit just to have a unit that maybe 3 years from now will get tore down and replaced.
Do we want to take them offline?
Or do we wanna try to do it somewhat differently? I'm shocked at these prices.
I don't,
We do have the money to do it. If
I
you
don't
guys
support-
decide you do want to get them back online and have me fill them.
I won't support doing it just crap, just put people in substandard housing.
I think that's the question.
Yeah.
I mean, this makes them,
That's
this
what
makes them,
people deserve decent housing. That's what we're about.
Yep, I agree.
And it will, the neighborhood, they are gonna
Yeah, the neighbor might
paint the
appreciate
front
it.
porch, they are gonna power wash the exterior of the home. And we will have, 2 qualified families
Residents,
living there.
Yeah, even 3 years of good residence is worth it. For 22,000 aside,
Well, and when we go to the rad conversion, don't know how that all plays in.
yeah, we don't know
we don't know.
what we're gonna get into too. Those might be units that we're gonna say, probably are, that we're gonna save,
Yeah.
maybe, no, I don't.
I
Okay.
doubt it.
Okay.
I think that's a big assumption.
All right.
I think for the respect of the housing commission and to be a good neighbor, we need to do these units. And then we get families in there and we've housed 2 more families.
I think we did a cost analysis of that. I mean, to come to this decision,
Right.
to put money into it, was that the cost would, we would do okay, even if we spent the money.
The rent we would get back, you mean, yeah.
And we don't know what that rent would be because we don't know what they would pay.
Right.
That's
And
into,
then we would only have actually one unit that would be offline, which is the 4-bedroom on Vine Street.
Yeah,
I mean, those so bad.
we, we,
That one's beyond repair though.
you know,
Yeah, so that would be, right, so we would have 100% of our units back online.
Yeah.
Other than the one.
Steve, I agree with your assessment that it seems like a lot of money, but I think it's the cost of doing business today. And I mean, to
Well,
spend,
it's the board decision
Yeah.
what they wanna do. It's just my own personal feeling
Yeah.
is, I was shocked when I read the RFP that it's basically painting and replacing some interior doors. And nothing, no large ticket items whatsoever, except for the flooring in the bathroom, which is not a big deal. But we could probably expect what, $700-800 a month per side and rent.
yeah, depending on what the resident's income is, because it'll be 30% of their income.
That's right, because
Cause that's public
Yeah.
housing.
But then getting the one back online that has been offline for over 2 years, at least we'll start receiving operating subsidy on that.
But when you think about what we should have been doing, and you're spending 25, 22, if we would have spent 3,000 and 4,000 a year like we should have been doing, it really isn't a bad number. You know, the deferred
All of our
maintenance,
places
yeah.
are
No,
Outrageous cost.
that's the problem when you wait to get to a point where it's,
Wait for the money, and then the time it just keeps growing.
Yeah,
I'm-
2 of the quotes were above 50,000 and 2 were
Mm-hmm.
below. The first one actually does have an extra $1,000 allowance in there to cover things that they might run into once they get going, like the bathroom floor. We weren't sure under the shower. Once they start, I know underneath the toilet and the one side, the subfloor definitely has to be replaced. So I see there is an allowance in there in case the shower needs removed and that subfloor, the whole subfloor in the bathroom needs replaced. And the first one does have luxury vinyl plank flooring in it. The other ones have vinyl sheeting,
Now, final, what do you talk?
like linoleum.
just, yes,
But the
sheet
top one
vinyl.
actually does. like, the-
Can we do just vinyl plank through the whole thing and skip the mid-grade carpet?
We could, and actually he quoted that too, so I actually have those numbers, but I was
Because
trying to do livable.
there's no reason to spend money
Okay.
on carpet.
And I actually do have a price from if you were to go with the low bidder, I do have a price to do the luxury vinyl plank throughout the whole home.
It doesn't matter, carpet is seventies, let's talk seventies, when we talk carpet.
Shag's coming back.
I don't care, not,
Orange,
but, yeah,
Orange and light green.
yeah, in homes that are $1 million and up, yes.
Wall to wall carpeting.
Yeah, just in this particular situation, to help the resident have a cleaner lifestyle, recommend plank flooring,
It's a lot more difficult than carpet and what.
yes.
I mean, I know one of these contractors under 50 and very quality work. It sounds like this other one has worked for us.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
said.
yeah,
So,
he
And
helps.
and he's a good guy. I've seen
yeah,
some
so
of his
we've
work
got
over there.
two
Who,
under
Got
50.
nosy.
Yeah,
The Logan did the work for us.
He did one half of the other one and then,
Yeah.
who did the other one?
Rusty Mankey is currently
Yeah.
still completing, which is affordable quality.
Affordable.
Yeah, they're still over there completing the other side.
and have you been walking through it and seen it? Do you like what's being done? Are you good?
Kevin said they're doing a good job. I personally have not been there. He wanted to take me there the other day, but I had so many irons in the fire. I said, you just keep going there and making sure they're doing it like the other side, because we were happy with the other side.
Okay.
Well, someone want to make a motion
for what?
Which one?
to go ahead with this? And
Do we go with the lowest bid?
I got it on Chuck. He's retiring from, the Oaks. I know his aunt. I went to school with her. He does good work.
I say all of them do good work. It's
Yep.
just,
The price.
the price. I mean, affordable does my contract.
Where's-
so, I mean,
Where's Logan's from?
He is from Big Rapids.
oh, he is, so
so he's driving up here every
Wow.
day
He's a new,
and so.
yeah, he's a young contractor. And when I was originally, I put out the first, but I was trying to find people. So
right,
he was willing to put a bid in on the first one, which we didn't go with him the first time. We worked with Mankey. But then because we couldn't get the other side done, we went back to his bid and had him do the other side.
so I see in AQC's, he mentions that he has the general liability insurance and workers' comp and all the comp. Does Griffiths have that also?
Yes,
Okay,
yep, we have all that.
Nobody gets paid until they provide those certificates.
okay.
Well, I think that, just do it this way. One, Serve Pro is too high, so they're off the table.
Yeah,
Yeah,
And I think Rusty, as much as I like Rusty, is too high.
Dirt Pro's almost 20,000 more,
I would expect that.
really.
Whenever I needed a high bid, all I did is call Serve Pro.
Wow.
They do a lot of insurance work too.
Yeah.
that's good.
Yeah, corporation grants,
Yeah, well, maybe just for the bidding and local. How about because the bidding and locals go with Scott Adamczyk?
I think that's okay.
It's good.
Do we want to negotiate with him?
Well, do you feel that Scott is going to? Because he wouldn't take the other one. He wouldn't even bid on the other ones because he said he was too busy.
Right, he still works. He said he's gonna retire in like 7 months or something. So I do have to, he does not have workers' comp. Because he's currently, I don't think they've been doing any jobs.
Yeah, they haven't.
So I would just have to make sure that, so I believe it's him, his brother and his dad. So I think they have a builder's license, so I don't know how the whole workers' comp and the Davis wages all will fall into this.
Yeah, because we have to have them pay. Yeah,
It's an insurance policy. They have to go get.
Now, you compared apple to apple, you're all,
Yeah,
Cover
other
all your
than the
bases.
first one has an extra $1,000 allowance in there for things that we might run into if the bathroom floor is.
so then if he doesn't, then he gives us $1,000 back.
yeah.
Is that what you're
So
saying?
technically, yeah, technically it should be 44,400. If the bathroom floor does not need replaced,
The subflooring.
the subflooring, yeah, all of it. We do have it in there to replace it under the toilet. The other thing is, the luxury vinyl plank. He quoted that instead of the vinyl sheeting, but he did quote carpet, but I would have whoever we award this to, I'm gonna have them actually quote the whole, both units to have the luxury vinyl plank.
My concern with Scott is that we give him the bid and then he sits on it for a couple months and doesn't do anything.
Well, they have start dates on there.
Okay, so he starts it, then sits on it for 2 months.
Well, it says this start date February 14th. That's Scott's.
Because I don't want it to drag on because he's busy, because he's got a job. That's my concern there.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I really do. I understand that. It's a small crew and he's working, but can't think of a time, and it's only been 3 or 4 times I've known of his work that he, I mean, it might take maybe a week or 2 longer, but, never has he sat a whole period of time. Addressing something.
Well, they don't have a lot of jobs. This would be the only job at the time, if, as I believe.
Yeah,
You know.
He's got the other.
you send out a crew.
And we could look at numbers too, if I had them, if I had them both quote the luxury vinyl plank throughout the whole house, then the quotes may be more comparable.
Their project definitely does the more detailed
Mhm.
bid. Just.
Servpro, I'm talking about Servpro, they didn't include items that are not in the scope of work. So I didn't have time to go through and take everything out, but they have like smoke detectors and things like that in there.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
they did include extra. And they did include replacing the registers, which, so when Kevin walked, so Kevin helped me do the scope of work, but then when he took Servpro through it, they said, do you want the registers replaced? And he said, yes. So they quoted it, but we actually did not have it in the scope of work. So that is the only contractor that quoted the register replacements. So I will be actually adding that on to whoever we do award it to. I will have them, either our staff will replace all the register covers, or we'll have the contractor give us a quote, and if it's acceptable, we'll do a change order.
Okay, so
So what's the board's,
Why don't we, can we confirm with Scott that he would be starting on February 14th and
And
I'm
have you
not
quote the
concerned
vinyl?
about a
the
start
luxury
date, but
vinyl?
a end date,
that-
when we know we're gonna have it.
we're gonna vote on a bid, but I hear us adding other things to the bid. You know, so maybe we could take a breath and kind of say, hey, we do want the vinyl planking through. We do want the covers completed.
And we're gonna meet 2 weeks from tonight.
Yeah.
Or today, and we can let the bid at that time.
If they can give us that answer and then just ask them, hey, there's concern that, if you start on the fourth, in February, that you don't get done in June, we want it done,
Yep,
you know, can you meet the need?
Yeah, well, let's give them a completion. Let's ask for a completion date from everybody. You know, a
Any
guaranteed,
type
yep.
of, surplus issues.
from the two.
Yeah.
contracts.
let's say, we need a guaranteed completion date.
Okay.
Because that's what we had happen on 10th Street. I
Yeah.
mean,
And,
that thing just kept going farther and farther and farther. And finally, you brought Logan back into finish because it was just dropped.
Because the maintenance.
Yeah, our staff, we
Right.
couldn't,
That's why we don't need our staff
Yeah.
doing these kind of things. It's, no.
no.
but I will have them give me the completion date to do vinyl plank flooring throughout the whole unit and to replace the heat registers. And then they may be compatible too. At that time, Domcheck may even be the lower bid at that too.
You also have to specify what kind of cold base and or trim you want.
Okay.
That, those doors that were put in on 10th Street, they don't even look like they're finished. They look like we just.
We're painting all the doors here.
That was just a clear coat and, right?
Right, and it wasn't much of that. It's, we had to get right up to it. Oh yeah, I guess there is something there.
Yeah,
That sound good?
yeah,
Thank you. All right.
Okay,
Goes a lot that goes into that, appreciate it.
So we're just gonna put no action under that until, yeah.
Right. Okay, it's time for Miss Tracy. Our presentation today was from Housing North, Tracy Davis, who's our housing ready person for the county.
A second before we're done. So we tried it with the lights off and you said it really didn't make a difference, I think. I think we're gonna.
Is there any way you can turn the one above you off? That's the one that puts a glare on the. No, wrong one, Ted. I still got that one on. It's.
That one's automatic.
Oh.
Oh, that's a night light.
Yeah.
With the switch.
Yeah, I don't know how those two would go off.
Hold on a second.
There you go.
Now that's for that.
Yeah, so I think it's on all the
They're
time.
wired,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Safety lights. That's fine, you can.
That's
keep
good.
going. Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't.
Thank you.
Now I know.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Hey, I wanna go there.
Yeah.
So do I. That's why I look at it
Hey, you
every
wanna
day.
go with me? Look at that, get a proposal.
Yeah.
What do I tell my wife?
Anything you want. You can come along too, I don't care. Just tell her you got a proposal for both of you to go where there's a beach and no snow. We'll give you one already. Oh. Oh, no, I'm an ass.
Yeah. Bills would be like it was that. That's what he was working with. Oh, he came in that field. No, but then he worked for when the governor got in trouble. Up there and worked for Snyder. Right.
For some reason, it doesn't seem to be talking now.
Oh.
You broke it.
There we go. Okay.
Different processes, yeah. That's what
I caught those slides before.
Yeah, it needs
Yeah.
focus there, you know.
That's-
Okay.
We can see it. That's good.
This is not the right presentation.
went out there, securities. Things that he was walking in there. He's around because I've seen him at the.
So thank you for inviting me today. I thought I'd talk a little bit in general about Housing North for people that, haven't heard me in the last year, talk about our organization. We really have three pillars that we focus on in terms of our work, which is awareness, advocacy, capacity, and resources. And, our mission is to build awareness about housing, advocate and influence policy at not just the state level, but also in our local communities. And then we work to expand resources locally and expand capacity. So I'm going to talk a little bit further about some work that I've actually done in the past year. And there we go. The position itself was brand new last year. So, and our organization in terms of housing ready staff on the ground is still a work in process. So, last year was for Manistee the first time they ever had a housing ready position. And I've really been guided through a housing action team, which has representatives from this organization. There were a number of people that were a part of that group that lent their voice to what things should be the focus for my scope of work. So some of the things that I've done in the last year really to expand capacity had been around doing some grants for the city in particular. Some of you may have heard about the CBDG grant that I helped receive for $500,000 for renovations. There are a number of other grants, working potentially for a community land trust. I have worked on a variety of proposals from everything from short-term rentals with the city and other townships, as well as looking at some additional zoning reform. And then I have really become an expert in a lot of the new housing tools that the state has rolled out in the last year. Anything from NEZs to attainable housing to pilots, so that those can be used fully and people have access to what those tools are. And then I've spent a lot of time in education and talking in general about housing, what housing terms are used, what they mean. I've spent some time with NMCAA and worked on developing a resource guide with additional agencies and partners in the community. And there was a resource guide, updating that resource guide, making it more relevant for services that maybe your residents might be looking for. So I wanted to kind of lay out, we have a 3-year partnership with the Housing Commission. And for the first year, you heard me kind of talk a little bit about housing education in the community. We have a lot of data and information to support directions of what the community wants to move forward in. And last year was a lot of transition for myself being new, but for your organization as well. So what I'm hoping for year 2 is that we're able to share some resources and collaborate together, maybe develop some plans or different projects that we could work together or I could assist with. And then that year 3 will have those plans implemented and completed. So at the end of the presentation, I'm going to throw out some just general ideas in case you hadn't thought or maybe you did, or just spark some conversation to see how that we can do things more collaboratively together, how I could help or be of any assistance. So one of the things, as I mentioned, talking about housing in general and trying to frame some conversations about the different categories of housing is one of the things that I've worked on. And there really are three sectors, which are affordable housing, which is 80% area median income and below. So for our community, that area median income is 42,000 and below for that affordable housing component. And that may also include things like subsidies, LIHTC programs, voucher programs, things like that.
Are you talking at the 80% level or the 60% level?
Below, so the affordable housing really is below that 80% level.
Okay.
That's what they consider
The
affordable.
median income is somewhere around 54,000.
Right, but if you're looking at that 80% below, yeah. So the next section of housing, and it has a whole bunch of terms which becomes confusing for people. They may talk about it in terms of workforce housing, attainable housing, missing middle housing. So there's all sorts of labels that they use, but that's really the 80 to 120 AMI. So for our county, that AMI from 80 is $42,000 to about $63,600. And I say about because it depends on your household numbers, but that's that range that we're talking about for attainable workforce missing middle housing. And then the next component is that market rate housing, which is anything above 120% area median. So this kind of talks about, it kind of laid out a little bit more about that median income, which was that confusing range that people talk here, that attainable missing middle housing. So I just wanted to lay that out there. But what I can also do at the end of this is I could email the presentation to Lori so you can see it a little bit better. And if you have any other questions too, I'd be happy to answer that.
Yeah, Tracy, that's a good idea. I'll forward it to the board.
I was hoping that we would just have a regular blank wall, that it would be easier to see, but that's okay. We'll make it work.
I wonder if there's some way that you can take and put it through the TV down there.
Okay, we're fine, yeah, might as well go through.
Actually, I thought about that, but then everybody'd have to move it there. Right, Lori?
Right.
I can talk you through, I think, a lot of it. I'm a pretty good talker. So
Most of them are.
so one of the things I mentioned was that we provide data information. We have tons of data, everything in our communities, from seasonal housing to different zoning ordinances on local levels, to something that's been recent for us is the housing needs assessment that was released in July of 2023. It was a 10-county study, everything from Manistee up to the Bridge, which is what Housing North covers. And there were individual county profiles that were done, and Manistee County obviously is one of those. And then there is some additional city and township data based on if they chose to be included in that survey and their size range. So we do have, I'm going to focus on county, but we do have Manistee City specific information because they asked to be a part of that additional sub information. And our full study is 500 and some pages. I will have a link in there that you can go to if you're interested in diving that deep. The county report is about 200 pages, and again, you can dive into that if you want. I'm only gonna highlight about 5 things from the multitude of pages, because there's an overwhelming bit of information. Again, if you want more information on just the needs assessment and or specific to the city, I can come back or I can provide you that.
When was this data accumulated? Who accumulated it?
It is a national company that did the data for us, the consultant firm. They, Bowen Research is the name of the company, and they did the data over a 6-month time period. And the survey was released, so 6 months prior to the release date. We received the data in June of 2023. Released it
So
to the
the end of
public.
22,
Pardon me?
the end of 22.
Yes, yeah.
So Tracy, I will definitely need some of your housing assessment data when I start working on my agency plan.
Absolutely.
That needs to be completed, I believe, by like September 1st.
And just we can talk about what specifically, whether it's countywide or city, that you are needing and looking.
Yes, so that'll be great.
Great.
Use that.
Wonderful.
We have to have two, yeah, city and the county, as we think about projecting forward.
Yes, which is why I focused on county. But that's one of those things that I have in my slide a little later to talk about further. So it's really hard to see, but, the information about households overall is for our county, we won't see an increase in population. We'll see a slight decrease in population. But households, which is different, we're gonna see a 0.2% increase through 2027. And the difference really is households are the people that are actually living together. So it doesn't mean that there's gonna be more children born in our county or that many more people moving here. Although there could be, that's a different part of the survey and a separate survey. What it really means is college students, for example, may be living together with their parents, where in the past, they didn't do that. My daughter chose to live with me after college. Her master's was online, for example. She saved money and she lived with me while she worked on her master's degree. So it's situations like that, parents and children living together, again, because of housing costs, brothers and sisters cohabitating together, where before it would have been separate households. So that's what we mean by household size increase. And one of the things that was, one of the things, if I go back, again, it's hard to see, is in terms of the household demographics, I just wanted to share that we will see an increase in individuals 65 and above in our county, which that is consistent with the region. But we also have a statistic of 62.5% of the households in our county are at least 55 years of age or older. So that is going to continue to trend upward for an aging population. And in fact, that statistic for our county in particular is higher than the 10-county region and the state's estimates as well. So I just thought that was an interesting thing to know about our county. So I wanted to share the poverty rate for our county, which is 10.8% poverty. And then the ALICE rate, which is that asset limited income constrained and employed group of people, is at 32%. So you're adding those two together, you're getting close to half of our population either being at poverty or the income constrained. And 15% of children in our county live in poverty. One thing I thought was just an interesting piece of information was we ranked highest in the county for the aging housing stock, which the average home was built in 1963. And 4.5% of rental units in rental and home units in our county either don't meet code, have incomplete plumbing, electrical, health hazards, which that is a pretty significant amount percent, and that percent, the majority of which are rental units that fall into that, not meeting the code, having incomplete plumbing.
What was that percentage
It's 4.5%
in the county?
in the county, and then it even, I have a city number though, if you're interested in that, that it breaks it down to city and it breaks it down for rental and it breaks it down for home ownership.
Seems more.
Well, in county perspective, you know, we are working on our ordinances, zoning, all that stuff.
And working
and
on the master
enforcement-
plan,
And enforcement.
yes, yeah. Which, yes.
A big chapter.
Right. Another president.
Yeah.
So to kind of wrap up that needs assessment, because I could talk forever about the different sectors and components of it. The housing gap in our county alone is 1,902 new units needed. And new units could be units that are renovated and brought up to code. They meet health and safety standards. That, for example, the 2 units that you're talking about bringing online, those would be included in the new units. So you're already making an impact in that. But if
Plus
you break.
60-some vacancies that we've already known.
Yes, yeah, because that was one of the things on the city-specific unit. It did come up that there was a higher vacancy rate for rentals. But they did note that that was because of those units that you had vacant. So those are online, so, you know, we appreciate that making a difference also. But 525 new rental units are needed, 1,377 home ownership units are needed. And really that home ownership is a bigger piece because just when they were surveying for respondents and communities, people wanted to have home ownership residency in northern Michigan as opposed to in rental units.
National trends, red, are up towards, and it might be because cost of housing with rental,
Mhm.
but that is different here.
Yes,
rather than
because
homes.
people really focus on the way of life
Sure.
here, moving away from, you know, city to a more expansive way of life. Rental is something that, you know, is something that happens and many people enjoy that, but home ownership is the ultimate thing for people in our communities. And that's one of the things that we hear over and over again that's unique to northern Michigan.
But I don't think that a lot of people that want those home ownerships can afford them.
Correct. You're right.
They want them, but they can't afford them.
So part of some of the things that I work on is trying to make it more feasible that there can be home ownership, the different types of home ownership that there could be. So it, and then, you know, looking at zoning and policy to, does it need to be the lot size that we're currently prescribed in our ordinances? It could be smaller. And that's one of the things that zoning reform looks at to make home ownership a possibility. Yes.
So Tracy, right now, I'm in my head, I'm thinking, okay, so within the next 2 years, we possibly, including your organization with the First Street plan, or no, that's not yours. Somebody else is building housing on First Street. But anyways, we could have a little over 500 rental units coming online in 2 years.
Well, that's the hope. That's the goal. Yes.
Well, the Kennedy project is 400
It's 288.
first.
The first wave will be
wave.
144.
Okay, I thought it was 200 and then another two.
288. There is the first project that they're looking at,
Right,
approximately 20.
right.
There is potentially another large project in Manistee Township. It hasn't. Yeah, it hasn't gotten there yet. They have about a $5 million financing gap.
Like,
So,
Hotel Northern will be the old Hotel Northern,
Yep.
to house, and then across the street from that will be another house.
right, yes. And again, no permits have been pulled. They haven't done we're working on, and I'm working with all those different places.
And you're working with the land bank
Yes,
too.
yes,
See it.
which
It's happening.
I had a question about later because you mentioned the land bank. So, before I get super sidetracked, I also wanted to break down the housing gap by the area median income. So what what this is really saying is that out of that 500 and some rental units that we needed to have for new housing, 404 really need to serve the needs of individuals making under 80% AMI. So, and the largest chunk you can see here is 262 need to be making 50% AMI or less. So that's that under $37,000.
Are you seeing that in your applications?
Yeah, we don't have a lot of high.
So Tracy, the projects you just talked about, are any of them addressing that particular range?
No, they are not.
Market rate,
Yeah,
okay.
market rates.
Well,
Except
there are some that are market rate and there are some that are in that workforce attainable housing. So the good thing is we need housing across the spectrum. If we have housing that's at those higher levels, then people aren't stepping down from being able to afford that higher level into things that people that can't afford, that are in the affordable housing range. And I know you would income qualify, not housing commission, but other places. They would take a lower rent, take a lower type of unit because there isn't anything at a higher level. So we want to help also prevent those step downs so that inventory in the affordable sections of housing are available also. If that makes sense. So another thing, I'm gonna jump to something else that we're working on in terms of building capacity and really advocating for across the state is our organization was chosen as the lead partner for the regional housing plan that was developed. So MISTA has a statewide housing plan. They've asked each region to identify an organization and then develop a plan specific to that region, a housing plan. So we're that organization that was chosen. And this is a link that goes through the whole regional plan. It talks about the process, the whole 9 yards, but really to kind of boil it down, our region came up with 3 priorities that were based from the statewide housing plan. Those 3 priorities are housing ecosystem, the ending and preventing homelessness, and housing stock, which includes home ownership, rental units, and senior housing. And the thread throughout the entire plan and those goals for us is equity and inclusion and communication. So again, a huge document, very complex, but I'm working and our organization is working throughout this region to make sure that there are resources, that there are funds available for each of those priority goals that I mentioned.
Tracy, I know that, you know, you presented to the commission, board of commissioners. And I, you know, I'm pretty vocal about our housing and stuff, but, one of my big focuses and has been for years, I don't care if we do it in the city or do it in the county, I'm kind of like asking more county. I think the city's kind of getting, filled up with big projects, but we could move people out into the county too, that's important, but the biggest thing that the county commissioners identified was kind of who are we and what are we?
Mhm.
We used to be a blue collar factory community, we are not that anymore. We are a retirement community, we are a vacationing, you know,
Mhm.
leisure.
Seasonal
Yeah,
population.
seasonal population, and we do have, you know, industry here too.
Right.
Focusing on that retirement. We have many houses that are still held by persons. That could probably downsize.
Mhm.
There's nowhere for them to move. We had a wonderful project idea. It didn't go through, but we've never been able to pick that back up. With the Council on Aging.
Correct.
Having 11 acres. I don't know if you're there helping them or.
And
Okay.
so I've been in conversations for the last year with them. But I feel like we've now just in the last month or so moved to a different phase, which I'm very hopeful for. That I was asked to be on the Council on Aging subcommittee that's going to work specifically on developing that housing. They have a new board president that really is focused on wanting to see that project move forward. So we've talked about a variety of different options, and I'm gonna help weed their way through working with developers and what could it be partial LIHTC and partial something else? Could it be a community land trust and then it stays affordable? They retain it, or do they want to and sell it in, you know, in its entirety? So we're gonna go through some of those, and I am gonna be involved in that.
There is a project out there, out where I live, Green Acres owns a lot of property behind me. And it was supposed to be like a 55 retirement, with levels of service.
Mhm.
I don't know if they're going any, you know, they were gonna do the condos and all the stuff behind us, but it's like, you know, their plan, they sent it to everybody and it's like, it's a beautiful plan. I don't know if they're gonna do it anymore, but you know, it's something to look at, what they're
Right.
thinking about doing.
The
Okay.
problem with the COA property is there's 4 or 5 acres that will not qualify for MISTA funding
Correct.
because of the oil wells
Yes.
there.
Yes.
And I've already talked to Sarah about another plan for that property.
And then the problem with out county housing is there's no infrastructure.
Mhm.
And and I don't know why this has happened, just in the last 2 weeks. I've had 2 townships from the east and the south call me and say, where the hell's our broadband?
It's because.
Yeah, I said,
Benzie
talk to
County's
your
moving-
county commissioners.
Because Benzie County's moving like rapid on that, so we're way behind.
Well, and that's, yeah, another whole.
Yeah.
Later, we'll do it
But
later.
those, you know, our infrastructure, you know, and we do have to the south and to the north, that we have been building infrastructure and collaborating with the tribe and all these counties. There's so many levels of this. And Tracy, you know, our zoning, our planning, you know, we gotta all get together. And that's our biggest problem is that it's all divided up.
And I know that the county is working on master plans. I have talked with Networks Northwest about our needs assessment and given them some zoning reform that I think could assist with that. But infrastructure is really what has to happen because developers, the cost of building right now, I mean, you saw the bids that are much higher than what you said would have been 5 years ago. It's astronomical to bid places like the Hotel Northern prior to COVID had about $100,000 financing gap. And now we're at like a $5 million financing gap. So it's exorbitant. So they don't, a developer isn't interested in going beyond Manistee Township, the city of Manistee, or Filer City because there isn't water and sewer infrastructure. And I love some of the things that the state has come out with, but those tools that they've come out with are also sometimes dependent upon that infrastructure that isn't in a lot of those other codes. We had, I talked pretty extensively about Arcadia and some housing opportunity there. And again, the housing isn't gonna happen, that portion, at least not for a while, because of the infrastructure, because there's no water and sewer access.
That would be tough to put water and sewer into because it's so low to start with.
Mhm. So there, we do have an organization that we've connected with that has an option that makes it more reasonable. It's called Sledgehammer. And they can do a variety of different proposals that there's a common sewer and water. But again, that's another large conversation that really is an obstacle for our county in particular, and a lot of rural counties.
Have you been able to go to township meetings like, you know, our recent conversation? We're just like trying to get people in every township to talk about on our US 31 corridor. You demand sidewalks. You know, we have a corridor that's growing and growing, but there is no walkability.
Right.
Walkability gives us a big check mark with the state when we are trying to apply for grants, you know, county or city. I know that Filer Township is on it. They've got a DDA that's
Mhm.
looking at building that structure so that they have walkability.
The hamlet, yes.
It would be great to have it go all the way through
Right.
our community.
The state did remove the walkability
Yes.
score for the rural areas. So that, and there are gonna be some other changes like that that will assist in helping us be more equitable and competitive on those score sheets. They're also doing set asides just for rural counties now as well, which will again help us where we couldn't compete with Grand Rapids and Traverse City and Saginaw. So
Tracy, in what respect are they changing this? You're talking about tax credit?
no, so in order to qualify, well, in some cases, in order to qualify for some of the grants or funding opportunities, you needed on the score sheet to have a walkability. So they're gonna remove some of that.
That's why rural projects don't do well in tax credit applications,
Yeah.
because there's a big point variation for rural projects, and there's a walkability score, which is a big part of the application. So if you're not in a community that has all the services and it's a walkable
Right.
And
area.
that's where like, Manistee Township is prime for that. They have food, pharmacy, healthcare, all sitting right in that corridor. You know, Filer Township is also kind of in a good spot. They have the food and the pharmacies and stuff and some resources, but you know, these are prime areas that we just can't get off the dime to get them so that we can get more money.
Yeah. So I think I talked about, I put this in there. I talked much more succinctly about what those goals are. And I just wanted to throw this out. And I don't know how or if it works in your realm. And you probably can address or answer that. When you're looking at expanding or doing other things, is the housing commission eligible for some other, using some other housing tools to make your costs go down and work? I don't know that,
Mark?
but I can assist
Well,
in figuring those things out, those tools.
really, I was gonna bring this up later, but I think it's a good point to make that we really, yeah, we have nonprofit designation, so we're able to access a lot of different pools of money. Really, I look at Manistee and I say, why haven't we been doing housing development here? Because we are the instrumentality that should do it, can do it. There's been some private developers that have done projects, but I see that in the last 20 years, we've not increased the housing stock. And it really should, I mean, we have some corrections to make and some improvements, but I think that ought to be our goal or your goal at some point in time. And as we look at this second phase of RAD conversion, can we do a new construction project in addition to replacing those units? And I think the answer is yes,
And that's what,
yes.
and help with some, and I know that you two have tons of connections, but I also have, I think some connections that I can help in utilizing maybe some of different tools and making sure that things are in place at city council or different townships so that you're able to do what you need to do. And I can help advocate change zoning and if that needs to happen. Which is what kind of I'm talking about with some of these housing tools. But kind of to your point, which is hard to see, I know, but this is the rendering of the Traverse City, the flats at Traverse City, which was a project that Habitat and the Housing Commission did in Traverse City. Or they're working on. This is what's gonna break ground. So this is what it's gonna look like. And my hope would really be that we could do some great projects and developments that look like that.
So is the old hospital gonna become one of those?
They're, that, the common grounds area, is that what you're talking about?
Nope, I'm talking about south of Manistee.
No, that's.
Oh.
No,
No. No.
Why?
I mean, I'd love,
it's sold.
right,
but-
it's sold by
Yeah.
someone, but it was sold.
Yeah, it's about as far as we can go.
Correct, yes. But,
So it's not gonna be housing then?
well,
It's sold. That's all we can, it's all up in the air right now.
Right.
It's a beautiful building. It has a lot of potential. That would be wonderful, but we'll see what they do. A lot of
What
property.
we live in.
There's a lot of property that goes with it.
yes. And it was not.
The city owned it, right? The city sold it?
No,
No.
No.
It's private.
No,
was
it's
a
been
private.
Oh, it's been privately owned?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Since
drug
1980 something, when I started there, it was Continental Care.
Drug rehab owner.
it was Mercy Hospital. I
Yes,
think I was born.
that was a county. Yes.
I think I was born there. So I live in this community, grew up in this community. But this is sort of, I think, a good indication of things that are close to us that we could do. I worked for Goodwill in their housing department, and the Housing Commission worked with them with a number of different permanent supportive housing units.
So good, so Housing Commission up in Travers worked with Goodwill. Did they build the shelter? Help build that shelter up there?
They didn't help build the shelter. What really financed the shelter was their retail operations. But we worked with them because we're the service provider
Right.
for the case management and running like Carson Square and some of those other units, buildings and properties that they have.
Because our homelessness is increasing.
Yeah.
Big time, and families are now showing up.
Right. Which is one of the things that I have expertise in. So I ran the homeless shelter in Traverse City, which is a 10-county, 128 bed, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year program. And I've run 2 other shelters, a domestic violence agency, a sexual assault agency. So I have a lot of experience in working in person-centered services trauma-informed care and service. And if that is helpful in any way, so this is I'm gonna throw things at the wall. You,
That one.
hopefully it sparks anything, could be, could not. But, that could be something I could assist if you need anything like that, or want anything for staff or for new people coming in. I'd be happy to help with that. And the reason I kind of brought up the Traverse City Housing Commission, not only because I had some connection, but Tony Lenti, who was the former Housing Commission Director, you may know Tony. He was a board member for Housing North, is now on the executive team at Mishta. And his title is like Chief Housing Strategist or something like that. But yeah, I know, it's a fancy. So I have a direct line to him, and, can tap him in terms of anything that the Housing Commission and Traverse did or could do, and if you need more information. I didn't know if there were opportunities with the scattered sites that I could assist with. I noticed that a number of housing commissions have family self-sufficiency programs, and again, I'm probably addressing from the scattered sites perspective, maybe not necessarily the residents, but potentially. But I would be happy to help with that. I think that Big Rapids had some self-sufficiency programming. And looking beyond the city limits, I heard, Mark, you say at a HAT meeting that is something that the Housing Commission potentially could do. What does that look like? Can I help with that? What can I help with that? And development partnerships and talking through some of, I've had a really intense year about learning a lot about development and how they work, their performance, what they have to have happen versus what we want to happen. So I'm happy to assist with any of that, or I'm open to ideas that you might have about how I can collaborate, assist, build your capacity, whatever it is.
I appreciate that, and I appreciate Mark and Lori's expertise. I have been asking the question about moving out of the city with all our development for years. First year, I heard it couldn't be done. But since Mark and Lori and you have all been here, I hear more and more that it's a possibility, and it would be, I think, a benefit to our community. Sometimes being in the city is just too expensive.
Yeah. Well, I think, we serve beyond the
But the
city.
infrastructure's here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Traverse City is a good example because that project is south of town. It's in a pretty rural area, if I remember right. One of their,
Yes. Didn't write it.
yeah, and didn't they partnership with the transit authority too?
Yeah.
Yeah, so, yeah.
So I think those are things that, part of that discussion, if we are gonna have an extend to the rural, let's talk about the transportation
Yeah.
that needs to go with that for people, because that needs to be a part of that conversation.
When I first come up here 25 years ago, first thing I heard about Traverse City was a study in how planning can go wrong,
Yes.
because it was just, bleh.
Well, yeah, they just, where
Right, let me,
they
It wasn't
fixed
meant
their
to be, it wasn't meant to be a city.
So,
correct.
so Tracy hit on a couple things, and I don't want to monopolize this, but in Big Rapids, we did a senior project that has market rate units in it too for seniors. So what that did, we did an 80-20 mix. And you used historic tax credits. We used to buy. In fact, we're resyndicating it now. We've had it over 20 years and we did a preservation project on it. But you can't believe how many people it brought back into town because the seniors had nowhere to go other than they didn't qualify for affordable housing, but we had another option for them. And that's, I think, is a need to,
Absolutely.
and the other thing is this missing middle stuff. We just built 5 houses in Big Rapids. They're under construction. three have a purchase agreement on them already. So I mean, so it's kind of, if you build it, they'll come, but you gotta, some agency's gotta be the lead and somebody's gotta take that responsibility. And I think hopefully that can transition over.
Well, that's where I would like us to be, but
Yeah.
we're finally starting to wade out of all this muck. that's
Yeah,
been pulled
yeah,
down.
absolutely.
They done that in Manistee, like where Olson's Plaza, that was supposed to be a
Yeah.
senior apartments and stuff, and that got backed out. Every time they do something like that, they back out.
So my point is, there's a lot of opportunities.
Yes.
There's a lot of
We've
opportunities.
missed a lot.
We've,
And we've got developers who won't come here because of what has happened in the past.
I think it's starting to move a little bit. I mean, that one developer will not return.
Never,
But,
never. Say the word Manistee.
right. But there are some opportunities that have been presenting themselves, and then some of the things that have recently, what the state is allowing, kind of expand those opportunities, and people in this area, it has some opportunities to do things. So I would be happy to be a part of discussions and would love to do that. And again, help however you think that I could fit in and help. So,
We'll be calling you.
okay, all right, good.
We have our-
Traverse City was in its heyday.
Taking the lead on some things.
Oh,
They're
good.
Building some homes now.
Traverse City was.
That's Vanessa.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's
And
good.
that's the-
Vanessa.
You tried to, I mean.
Yeah.
this is pretty
Yeah,
much-
please.
And it was stale,
Yeah.
but you
Yeah.
and Lori would be great to.
Yeah.
I'm a buddy with Vanessa.
Yeah.
Who's working on it?
Working on a project for-
So Tracy, we're selling, the Big Rapids houses are selling for 200,000, 205, I think. And I think the construction cost is 265. So that missing middle grant made that difference, that gap subsidy, so we can make it affordable. And if you live there for 5 years, then the house is yours free and clear.
Frankfurt has that as well.
Well-
They just finished their project.
That's in,
So there's a couple
They have a
different
5-year thing on
things.
there.
So you're talking about, from Frankfurt,
the modular.
Modular
the-
Community Land
yeah,
Trust,
yeah.
which I sit on, the Community Land Trust Coalition here in Michigan. And I don't know if the ins and outs, how that could work hand in hand with Housing Commission, or doesn't need to probably with
Well,
housing.
it's our nonprofit too. We have that.
But the other big thing is for that gap that you're talking about is, the brownfield TIF for housing. That makes that possible, that finance gap, can be eaten up and included in some of, the plans and projects. So those are some of the things I think I can,
That's awesome.
Oh,
that Houses
weed
in
through.
Big Rapids.
Yeah.
Right now in Manistee County, as of the other day, I don't know what it's today, it looked, there were only 8 houses
Wow.
in the county under $200,000 for sale.
Yeah. And,
8
Yeah.
houses in the whole county.
and
well, that is in some of the statistics that I have for our county. What the average list price was for houses was 400 and some thousand. And then the median price was 285,000 for our county, which,
so you need to have about $125,000 income to afford that
Right.
house.
Yeah.
And that's why a lot of families and friends are moving in together to bring their income up.
Yes.
One thing, I know Tracy will agree, housing is economic development, because you can't have one with the, I always say that. I mean, it's like the first step of industry needs, we need people to live here, to work here, and we have to be able to house them. And
No,
it's,
but the problem, I was on the HSCB 30 years ago, and it's the same story as it was 30 years ago.
we're just talking about it, right? Yeah.
More surveys, studies,
Yeah.
meetings. I mean,
That explains the red mark on your hip.
Yeah.
Or get
Frustrating.
the wall.
Well, and a lot of communities say that we gotta quit talking about it.
yes,
And
let's quit talking.
We need to
Get
do
something done.
something.
so I don't know. You had mentioned the land bank. I work very closely with the land bank. So I would be interested in, I don't know if it needs to be offline, about what it is that you're interested with the land bank, that I maybe can make more of that connection and talk about it happening and the plans. But also the land bank just because you're talking about opportunities, the land bank has a couple homes that are going to be demoed. So those properties will be up for opportunities for development. Maybe that's
There's
first
there's,
tiptoe in, I don't
as
know.
we all know, several levels, you know, if they're the great pass-through for getting grants and stuff now. They are also able to do blight demolition,
Mhm.
stuff like that. So our land bank is really starting to grow its legs. And be able to kind of offer us some good opportunities. But you're right, those properties that go up, I look at them all too.
Yeah.
And it's like, and we've just requested a full sheet of, we want to know every piece of property we own. We just have not got that inventory, so once I get that inventory. we'll be checking it.
We
For
can,
land
we
bank?
can own property too. We can buy property and own
Right.
property and assemble pieces of property.
But we need to
Okay.
move along here.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
if You have any?
Yeah,
other
lots.
Discussion with Tracy.
We could go on all day about.
Right, I could go on all day.
Yeah.
I could put together for the city and for the county, a map of ownership,
That would be great.
if
And the
that's
county
helpful
said,
for the county.
yes, that'd be great.
Okay,
Can't speak for the city.
The city has,
I've already,
I knew 13.
yeah, I've already kind of had that for the city, but for the county,
Thank you.
so would you wanna know? Like the township owns it? Is that what you
That'd
wanna?
be great. Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
And the city.
That'd be
There
great.
are
Well,
some,
city's fine to throw in there.
vacant houses out. Whole areas that you would think that, I mean, they still look like they have good bones. Why someone has decided to fix them up and sell them, I don't know.
A lot of those I've checked
You know,
into
petitions.
possibly buying are summer homes. that
No,
you're
no,
talking-
no, 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 I'm talking about vacant.
Oh, okay, all right.
Just like.
Yeah. But
Okay, moving along.
Thank you so much, Tracy, for presenting. You did a fabulous job.
Okay, operations manager and executive director reports.
Or you want to go first? You want me to go first?
Your name's first.
All right. So I wanted to bring up one thing. I've been focused on working with Commonwealth and so a couple updates. In December, they converted their construction loan to permanent debt. So we're getting closer to closing out the project. The other thing, we've had some really good talks with on their development team.
Your buddy.
Yep. And so there was a check that during this closing of the permanent debt, it was like $190,000 residual check that was deposited into the partnership account. So that the cash flow, and the one thing I'm gonna look at today, gets distributed based on this waterfall agreement. And I'm not sure, but we're in that agreement. So we have some more revenue coming our way. So just so you know, and we just got the final installment of the developer fee, which was 92,000 or 62,000. I'm sorry, I don't have the number, but I will get that to you. So that's ours. So I mean, that goes into our nonprofit or can go to the nonprofit. We can use that however we want. It's
Does that
unrestricted.
mean that Commonwealth now considers the project done and over?
Well, the 8609s aren't done yet. See, so that's the final completion certificate with the IRS, and I don't know when that's gonna happen, but I'm assuming soon.
I
But
don't think our punch list has been.
no, I think we have warranty inspection coming up too, right,
Okay.
Lori?
Yeah.
So I think I mean, Steve and I've been talking about this vinyl flooring and is it adequate and does it meet the specs? And we're not sure about that. But I do think they're gonna be here at some time in the spring, Commonwealth. But one of the issues I wanted to talk to you about, we had this conversation this week, Lori and I and Mr. Sellers, who's on the development side. They are all on board with us bringing KMG as the management company. Now, we need to stay as the management agent of record and bring KMG as kind of back of house for compliance. So Commonwealth management comes. So there's three legs of this Commonwealth we learned. There's Commonwealth development, there's Commonwealth construction, and there's Commonwealth Management Company. So their Commonwealth Management Company, it sounds like they're not in the picture anymore.
They changed their name.
They changed
over.
So Commonwealth Development, I think, is moving away from them, which they were providing the compliance arm. So we're gonna have KMG providing that compliance, because as you know, tax credits, non-compliance means risk to the investors. So
But the housing commission will be
we're gonna be we're taking that risk on
property manager.
of record.
Of record.
So then we get the management fee, and then part of it's gonna go to KMG. So 6% is a big number, so we don't want to give that away. So I say that my recommendation is we accept that risk. We're already doing it. It's really the partnership's risk, but I think the partnership could come back and hold us accountable if there was credits recaptured. We've never had credits recaptured, so usually there's what is it, Steve? When there's a non-compliance issue, it's there's a
corrective action.
there's a corrective action. I mean, it's usually something certification isn't there, or a background check or something, but it's usually correctable. So I just wanted to make you aware that that risk will fall back on us, and we had that conversation. But I think if you're comfortable with it, I think it's,
My feeling is that whether we're primarily at risk or secondarily at risk, we're still at risk.
that's right. And the other thing that I want to find out is Commonwealth is in the deal for 5 years. So really, we're going to be the owner of record in 5 years. So what you do in these projects is you buy their experience.
3 years left.
Well, we need to know what that date was, that when the 5-year clock starts ticking. So if it started ticking in
December 21.
21, I mean, we're getting closer. So then they're out of the deal, and we're making all the guarantees anyway. So I just wanted you guys to know but I think that's okay. I mean, and I think that's kind of the process we'll go through in the next grad development process.
Anything else, Mark?
No, I've been spending my time working with them and trying to get this figured out. And I think we're getting closer. I think the project is going to cash flow. He tells us there's lots of cash flow in this project. So I think that's the good news. Yeah. Yeah, I think we're seeing that light at the end of the tunnel now.
Do not feel like I'm digging out of a hole as
No.
much anymore.
No,
We pulled ourselves out of the muck.
I think from April, when I first met with you, I think it's come a long ways. It's,
Very much. This Dax
Yeah.
alone in Lori's office.
I went into the
We
office.
appreciate you both,
No
Lori.
wonder when I go into her office, I can't see her. The paper's up here and she's down here.
I know.
So anyway, that's all I had.
Lori?
The website, I have been in contact with, Revive is a government website experts. So actually, I believe they have our website like 3/4 the way designed. So, I am waiting for him to send me, I cannot find a proposal. Asked, he did say that it's right around, the estimate was right around $12,000. They create our website and they maintain it for 3 years. So we would have our applications on there, our policies, we would be linked through the city. So I want to know,
Did we talk to the local, website designers at all?
no, this is something that Clinton had started.
I
Maybe we
question
can
whether
find-
websites are even used much anymore.
Oh, for
yeah.
sure.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Very much so.
Yeah, I think.
You wanna drive people to your website, you put it on social media to start with, then they go to your website.
Well, yeah, but still a
People
website.
had-
is where-
Well,
especially
just
for
tell
the
some of the
agents,
women
they
in
need
the
to
field
download our
here,
application. And if they call about a tenant need a reasonable accommodation, we can just say, go to our website, print out a reasonable accommodation, turn it in. Kind of,
Yeah.
yeah, so.
But if we do it, Lori, and we spend the money,
Yeah,
we keep it up.
Yeah, that's the
There's
pet
nothing
peeve of
worse than
mine.
having a website that's,
Yeah, I thought it was
Right.
reasonable just because I think it will be so useful. I really do. And they actually, there's grants for residents. So right now HUD, which I did not bring that with me, but I needed to look into it more. HUD's currently offering, grant opportunities, to fund residents, internet service, so that makes them more employable access. So, that's something I will be probably bringing back to you in February to see if you're interested in, applying for those funds. Through HUD, that's through HUD.
Okay.
Okay, so do you want me to, um, it's up to 12, are you gonna authorize up to $12,000 to get this? It's a 3-year contract.
Can we look at, do we have time to look at a couple locals or not?
Um,
Is it right? Right Side Design and then who's the other one? We can't?
I mean, I could,
Oh.
with our project.
Well, one of the reasons I say Right Side is because he used to work for the Housing Commission and he knows the housing. I mean, I'm gonna text him right now and ask him if he has time or interest. How about that?
Yeah.
Is that okay?
yeah, I believe this agency actually has all the pictures of the apartments.
Oh, okay.
So they're actually
The
like,
nude pictures?
like they could actually have our website up and running within 60
Okay.
days. If I give them the go ahead.
But we're waiting for their proposal because we couldn't find it, right? Lori,
Right, he
from-
told me it's 12,000 for 3 years. That's designing it and maintaining it from now for the next 3 years.
now, you say maintaining, what's he maintaining?
So every time we change a policy, I send it to him. We'll have our minutes on there. We'll have, our agendas. I'm
Now,
hoping
are
he'll
we
also help us with a
required-
Facebook page,
Are we required to have our minutes published under the city?
which we could still do that, but
Yeah, but we can both places.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that
Cities request-
the city's requiring us to do that.
Cause my involvement when we had the band and we had a website, we had a webmaster that we would tell him what to do and he would do it. And then he just kind of disappeared and none of us knew how to change anything.
Yeah.
So if at the end of 3 years, all of a sudden, okay, we have no more support, how do you do it? I don't know. I usually just call him and he
Yeah.
does it.
Yeah, that's a good point. Well, we'll ask that question.
yeah, I'll have them if we go, whoever we go with, I will have them make sure that our staff understands how to.
Well, I think we want
Some
the
of that
ability to
things
make
too.
changes too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
we assign a
newsletter.
person
Yeah.
who is
We can
also
put our
going to be trained in
newsletters on there.
that so that they can work on the website.
Yeah.
The website design has gotten really cheap. I think, GoDaddy, you can pick up a website for $10.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but that's not,
They can design a website though, because I've done this and I did it through a local person. But I've designed a number of them. They can make it so that you can easily update
Right.
and
Yep.
put in Facebook links or put in things. They just have to do that when they're creating it so that you don't have to be in that position in 3 years where you're like,
yeah, that's how we set ours
Yeah.
up. There's somebody who, all our information, all of our minutes, all that stuff.
and that you don't have to be like a computer guru. in
If I
order to
can do
those
it,
things.
anybody can.
So
Okay.
coming back to you on that.
Yep.
What are your feelings about hosting the commission meeting at Harbor View? Quarterly, or at least once a year, or do you wanna do every other month, or what,
I think it's appropriate to be there too, so the residents there have an opportunity.
and how does that, I mean, when we post our meetings, and we have our meeting place, that's the only thing, cause it was the city chambers. Now I've changed it to the Century Tears Community Room, so I just have to make sure that, whatever, how often, I would just like some discussion on if you guys are interested in meeting at Harbor View, so the Harbor View residents.
Sure.
Yeah,
How often?
every other month.
Yeah, we're split, because we don't have to go to City Hall anymore at all, right?
Correct, as long as we're able to record.
Okay,
So every other month.
every other month.
You know,
So do you wanna start in February?
Sure.
And I can update the meeting list with the city.
Sure.
So I will put that that way it's posted ahead
Yep.
of time
Yep.
where we will be meeting throughout the whole year.
Yeah. The bylaws give us that ability to, it
Just
says,
remind us so we don't.
Exactly.
yeah,
Yeah, I'll make sure it's with the agenda.
I know, I'm like,
Okay. Mark, do we need a motion on that to change the meeting location?
gives us the ability, it just has to be posted according to the Open Meetings Act.
Okay. Partial pest control is off to an amazing start. Last night at 8:30, we did complete installing bed bug monitors on 100% of the apartments in this building.
wow. How much is that,
The
monitors?
They are $4.50 a piece.
Oh, good. So then they, what, they beep you and tell you there's
I wish, that would be great.
a bug in the house?
Lori got attacked by a cat too.
Yeah.
Was the cat going after the bug though?
Yeah, that was.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And you were so afraid of the dogs.
I had to make sure I don't get cat scratch fever. Cause
Yeah.
they clawed my back up. It like, we were in the unit, I was letting the exterminator in because everyone was gone. And so I said, you know, if you wanna stay and get it done, I'll stay as long as you need me to. So if, we were installing modes in a unit that the person was not home, but their cat likes to get out.
Oh.
So I completed, some second unit inspections yesterday, so I had been in there and the cat ran out on me. So I had to chase it down the hallway and grab it and put it back. So Al said the cat was mad at me because I threw him back in the unit earlier. But, so I went in there with the exterminator and the cat just jumped on my back.
Is that in your job description?
I actually do have claw marks on my back. But anyways,
There's a workers' comp.
got the
right there.
job done. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
I want to see the write-up on that one.
But we will be starting the Harbor View installation of the. You can either call them monitors, modes, or interceptors, but every bed and every living room chair has them on it. So what happens is if someone hitchhikes, if a bed bug hitchhikes in on somebody, it gets on the chair, it'll eventually go down the leg of the chair and it will not be able to get out of the interceptor.
There we go.
It's just a little
When we need to inspect, we can look at the interceptor, and if there's bed bugs or roaches in there, we know right away that this unit needs to be treated. So I believe we're coming a
So
long
you
way.
throw a little food in there for the bugs then?
No, no, because bed bugs only
Food traps.
eat blood.
They only eat blood?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can't even get them to eat poison like I'd much rather get rid of a roach than I would a bed bug.
Keep a
They
sacrifice
live on
that
blood
cat.
meat.
Oh, God, I never knew that part.
Oh, yeah, they're like, ticks.
They
They'll
look
get
like,
on
they
you,
do
they'll
look
bite.
like a tick, yeah,
Yeah.
and actually one company said they were gonna start using pheromone. But that never, I ordered some, then I never did receive them, so I don't know what happened there, but, so yeah, so that's off to a great
Then they
start.
empty them and then reinstall them, or they're just there?
They're just there, they're little trays,
Yeah, they're like glue traps.
Oh, okay.
so
Without
I'm
the
working
glue.
with him on, right now, we still. We still have a lot of units that we're still treating. The great thing about him is the old exterminator, we did bed bugs this week, roaches next week. When he comes next week, any roaches that I found during my inspections, he's not gonna make me wait 2 weeks to get them on. He will do bed bugs and roaches on the same day. He comes every Wednesday. So we are actually gonna be able to one day say we are free from, or at least 99.9% free. You're always probably gonna have a couple cases.
You have such a
Well-
glamorous job.
Well, if you want to be free, get rid of all them traps so you don't.
She's not gonna for her guy.
Because
I'm kidding.
they are more prevalent than,
Oh,
the people that say, I'm not gonna live in Century Terrace because of the bed bugs. Well, they're probably living in a place that's got more than Century Terrace has.
So yeah, we are. So I just want to let you report, we're moving full steam ahead on
Good.
that and we're making progress.
good
Um,
to me, thank you.
The other thing eventually I would like to do, is see if there's any grant money to do some things along the riverbank there, because like along here, all of our property in front of here, we really do need some work done there. And if there's some grant money out there, I would love to try and tap into it.
How about the Office of Rural Development? It just sent out a whole load of grants. It's not Sarah Howard, but Sarah.
No, that they changed to the Office of Rural Prosperity.
Sperry.
There
Used to
weren't,
be with Housing North.
Right.
yeah, there weren't, Sarah Lucas,
Yeah.
Yes, Sarah Lucas.
Yep.
there weren't any specific to that. But there may be something else, and I'll look to see.
That would be great. Yeah, could we work together on
This
maybe
is also-
some opportunities?
This is the erosion, so Eagle.
Yeah, it's
That'd
gonna be,
another-
you're gonna get Army Corps, you're gonna get, Eagle involved in this is because it's on a waterway. We might be able to access like the Natural Trust Fund or something, but no grant entity is gonna touch this riverbank unless it's designed for some sort of particular,
You've got.
Restoration.
You've got trout, sturgeon, you got
Yeah.
all those.
Eagle has some grants
Yeah,
themselves.
yeah.
You wanna know who else has grants? Just down the street,
The Community Foundation.
Community Foundation, they've got tons of outdoor grants.
Yeah, when's their,
But isn't that for outdoor
deadline
usage,
Yeah.
not
for
stabilization or
application.
something? That's for like recreation.
And make that.
They just released. I can find out.
I think it's twice a year, don't they?
Yeah,
This is not gonna
I
be.
think that they just opened that up.
Yeah.
yeah, I think they
I
did.
think they just opened it up.
But like, if you look close, if you walk, yeah, it really, really needs, like, what is that? That's in the water.
It's an old landing or dock.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
underwater, like sticking all the way,
Yeah.
and then, like, we have
Pilings are
Yeah.
over here.
Yeah.
our well house.
Yeah.
The lid is all dilapidated and then I did talk to one housing commission,
That one.
that actually took water from the river and irrigated their property.
That's what they used to do here.
They did used to do that here.
Over there.
Until they didn't drain them.
It's all-
A bucket
Somebody,
pump.
Yeah.
if somebody went
Yeah,
down there and
and
walked,
only
they
comes
would
through
go in
electric.
and hurt
Yeah, that's free
themselves.
water. The lawns would be good.
So that contaminated property, the housing commission bought, there's no retaining wall there either. So it's just a,
Well, let me ask my wife to ask Laura at the Community Foundation if they have anything they would accept. She's on her board, so.
So I think Eagle is probably our biggest,
Eagle's probably the biggest opportunity.
then the rural prosperity, those, the last set of grants were just. It was like, why didn't we apply for more,
I know the city's done a lot of work on the riverfront, so we'd probably want to make sure that we worked with
And-
them and through
And
them.
they will, the DDA has received a grant and Eagle has been part of that process and will be redoing. Right across from us here somewhere. Oh, no, it's down there that they're gonna be working at, but, yeah, there's gonna be a major rehaul, over $1 million and some, I think, $1.8 million, I think is.
Of
We
the
do. Plus,
Riverwalk.
West Shore College is going to be redoing theirs part. I mean, this would be great. if
Oh my
it's
gosh,
all the
yeah.
timing
Yeah.
could come together. There was also a plan many, many years ago to put a river walk on this side too.
Really?
That's to
Yes.
close the river down because it's just too much construction.
That bridge is gonna open.
Not, it's
If the
delayed.
Bruce, they have to be.
They have to be open for the season.
Oh,
I've
So
heard
I
that
did
before.
complete
It has to
100%.
be.
Okay, let's let Lori finish.
Okay,
So I did complete 100% of the unit inspection, so every unit that the housing commission owns has been inspected.
Very good, Lori. Very.
So we do have a stack of work orders
Yeah.
that,
Came
That-
out of it.
yes, will be completed. So I've asked every resident that we have any work, I've given everyone an opportunity to report any work items that need done. So now the guys just have to find the time to complete those work orders. So that has been completed.
With just a thought, and I'm not sure where we went with this. We used to have 3 employees. We went down to 2. We talked about a temp to kind of help with this type of stuff. I don't know if we. ever-
Yeah, is
well,
that something, can we
personnel.
maybe average, can we average?
we had one and it didn't work out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
We
well,
can talk afterwards.
didn't we decide to use a temp agency
Yeah.
versus advertising for one?
Yeah,
way
but
we
they
didn't
couldn't
have
find
it.
Or
anyone.
maybe-
Yeah, they
Yeah.
couldn't, we couldn't get any
Yeah,
applicants.
Janitorial.
Not sure if you've tried to find someone to work with.
Yeah, in fact, we're gonna have a personnel committee
we're
meeting
gonna-
right after this, so that's probably something we're gonna talk about too.
Currently, Karen Graham Consulting Group is here. Recertifying all the tax credit units. And we are finally mirroring the files. So when we first went to RAD, the previous management refused to have the tax credit file and the Peabody file together. So they're here and our staff is working with them and we're doing all the research through May 1st. So anyone that moved in before May 1st will have their files together with the tax credit file. And then as we move forward, we will continue to do that. So by the 1st of next year, all the files will be together. And then when we do our research, we'll also be doing the tax credit research.
I know this might be premature, Lori, but if we're now going with KMG to our back of house, they use a program called One Site.
Yeah.
Which is much better than Yardi,
We're-
but who's gonna move the Yardi information over? to
They
One
are.
Site?
They are,
KMG will do that?
yes. Yeah, that's gonna be part of their fee.
That's great.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is
Yeah.
wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, have them marry the files then too.
Yeah, they did. That's what we're doing right now.
Okay,
So for one, we were fighting before about doing this and it didn't make any sense.
okay.
And that is the end of my report.
Well, I appreciate you. Okay, commissioner reports. We'll start at your end, Karen.
Listen,
Jim? I'm just elated where we're at.
yes, yeah.
I can see, this is like a broken record from last month, but I can see so much promise here. And it's like, we can't run fast enough. But it's nice that we're gonna start letting out proposals for the new RAD project and get the scattered sites taken care of so that we can work into senior housing and workforce housing and stuff like that. Make some trades in the city for property. And make everyone proud of us. Okay, vacancy report. Well, no, financial reports.
Yeah.
Anybody have any questions on the financial reports?
Yeah.
We're in the black again this month. That's fantastic.
I can make you go on the road if you let me.
Okay, vacancy report.
So we have at least today, 1 o'clock. So, 403 will be coming off the list this afternoon. And, so Rally, which is Tanya and Darlene, they were approving all of our move-ins. So while, Karen Graham Company is here, I have been allowed to use them to do my approvals on the tax credit side. So, we have 3 applications that we're going over with them today. So I hope to have them moved in within the next week. So, yeah, so we are getting there.
Good.
Can I back up? Don't we need to have an approval of our financials?
No, you approved the bill. I think you receive and file generally, don't we? What do we do?
So should we do a motion to receive and file?
And what did we do last time? And that's a good.
Last year we did it in the consent.
Yeah, I think last time I just put that you guys reviewed them, but I would prefer that you receive and file.
That's probably a good. Friend.
Well, it's for a long time, there were no financial.
That's probably why we don't remember.
I think I was on for 7 months before I saw one.
Yeah.
So
Well,
let's
then
say
that
we
was
saw it
right.
and let's
Yeah.
say we saw it.
Yeah.
Well,
Let's put it in the record.
I think that's a good,
motion.
yeah.
Okay, do we want to
Leave
make
it
a motion
file.
for that?
Yeah.
I'll make a motion that we have seen and reviewed the financial report presented today.
A second,
Second.
all in favor,
Aye.
opposed, motion carried. Okay, public comments, any public comments?
Yes,
I
I've
just
been
gave
waiting. Public comment. Two things, the people are happy up in my neighborhood now. We removed that front from where that gentleman lived. That's gone, the tree is gone, everything's cleaned up outside's pretty good. Pending what comes when the snow melts. So it's looking a lot better. We don't have all the yelling and screaming, so the neighbors are really happy with the guys. And the second thing is when we bring up about the housing commission at the council meeting, I always bring up that I'm glad this board is on there. You've done a great job. Things change around. I really give you a lot of praise. I think you've done a spectacular job. I'm happy for you. Thank you.
Thank you.
We have some good people working for us.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I had a thought comment when we were talking about bed bugs. I, having been in shelter programs, large programs, I could tell you if we could talk about what they use as sort of proactive and prevention when people
Yeah,
are moving
yeah.
in.
Yep, I
That's great.
welcome any.
So yeah, it's kind of a system and a process that they have, and then, and we can talk about what that looks like.
Thank you, Tracy. Yeah, that's great.
Okay, if nothing more, the announcements, February 1st, we have a work session at noon at Harborview. And February 15th is our monthly meeting, that also will be at Harborview. There's nothing more, I take a motion.
We are getting a much better response on the, tenants coming down for things at the community room.
Good.
Where people are getting involved and getting, seeing that things are happening.
I've been getting people from over at Harbor View on too, which is very good.
Good. Nothing else, I'll take a motion for adjournment.
Once you make a motion to adjourn the meeting,
I'll second.
All in favor?
I.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Oh, you can vote on that.
That's a good one to vote on. Okay, sorry.